So today we're going to be painting half an apple. I've taken an apple from the fridge, chopped it in half, taken the photo, printed it out, and I will be painting it today as a tutorial. The sketch is here, so this is what I'm starting with. I will include this sketch in the albums page of the Facebook group Let It Run Watercolor Art. There is an album there, and that allows you to view the tutorial, link for YouTube, and it also allows you to have an outline and join a whole bunch of other people who are painting for fun and learning along the way. My colour palette will be coming from the koh-i-noor set. It is a disc palette, and the colours are very intense, and I use these with the majority of my paintings. The lid can be used as a little palette. The colours that I will be using today will be from this palette. The paper I'm using is the Hairdryer brand. It is hot pressed, 300 GSM, so it's nice and thick. This paper is stocked in Australia, and I have bought this from an art shop. I'm not sure if it is available elsewhere, but again, it's hot pressed, and ideally I'm working on a half sheet of A4, so an A5 size for the apple, and I've used for my line work a mechanical lead pencil and obviously an eraser. I find a triangular eraser really good because it gives you the opportunity to erase on an angle and use almost like a pen, and as that gets dirty you can turn it around and again erase. All my watercolors I do use this mechanical pencil, and at the end of the paint I erase it, and it comes out really well and it doesn't damage the paper at all. The brushes I'll be using today are a number 3 mop brush. This is from the Raphael travel set. It's a great brush to use. It also, as part of the travel set, it does come apart, and you can just pop it into its sleeve there, and it comes in a leather pouch, and you can take that with you. And I'm also going to be using my 00 liner brush. This is a Princeton brand. I tend to use this a lot for my finer detailed work, and I do enjoy using it, so it's kind of my go-to brush. So these ideally will be the 2 brushes that I'll be using today. And I'll be mixing some of my paints just on a ceramic palette. I quite like a smaller palette to use, and I may use a couple of those during my painting techniques. Again, clean water is essential. I tend to use a smaller water well, so it's not so deep, and a larger one, which is just a mason jar full of water. No taping down at this stage. I have bordered this with a pencil line, which I will be doing a background, but I'd like that background to be quite loose. So ideally what I want to do is paint the background firstly with a light wash, and some of the shading and shadowing in here and where the apple was sitting on a table. So I'll come in with those colours first with a light wash, as this colour of the apple is darker. So ideally, with the background already painted, the red tones that I will be using for the outline of the apple will nicely blend in, and you won't get any harsh lines. So ideally I'm looking for a browny blue background. So with the koh-i-noor set, there is a brown within the palette which I use a lot, and some of this lighter blue. So if I take some of the clean water and place it on my palette, and just move my larger jar closer, I will take some of that brown and place it in to the water. I'll wash out my brush smidgen of that blue. And I'll just add a little bit more of that brown. And just a little bit more of that blue. It's like a lighty grey bluey mix. Now that I have this mixed, I will start on my background colour. Okay, so ideally what I want to do is I want to wet my background. So I'll use my mop brush. You can use a larger brush to do so. I'm just going to outline around the apple. There's a little bit of tint on that mop brush. I'm doing a loose background with this, so I'm not too concerned about it going over the line that I've already drawn. I want it to be rather a rough outline background for this apple. So I'll make my way around with the mop brush. I'm just wetting the background and around the apple outline. And again, very rough lines. Just following them quite roughly. And if I take my paper up to the light, there is a glisten on the paper and the water isn't exactly running. And if there are areas that you feel that it's a little bit too wet, then take away that water with your mop brush. So when you're happy with the amount of water that's on your paper and the way it's been dispersed, again, my brush is tinted from when I was mixing the paint. So I'm going to come in with the colour that I've mixed. Let's bring that into screen for you. And the area down here will be slightly darker. This is more of a greeny mix. And this area here is going to be shadowed, which will come in later with the colour that we want. Just using the water to give me just that little bit more of a lighter shade. Just moving that across. So this is very rough, very loose. And again, on this side of the apple, we'll come in with a little bit of that green. Because this is signifying where the table is, and this area here is the background. Now this area here is a shaded area of the apple, but I'm still going to come in with this bluey green. And you can still see the line work. I want that to sort of bleed through. So the background behind the apple, I just want a nice clean wash on that. Okay, so that's the first pass of the background. So at the moment we have the apple and that background. Now I'm quickly going to come in with a hairdryer, so this will bit, but I'll come in and dry it. Now with this area dry, I want to now come in, and if I look at my reference photo, there are some darker areas here and through here and under here, the shaded areas. So I'm going to come in and do those now, and with the blue from the palette that I was mixing, I'm going to take that same blue and just place that in my palette. And the paper is still slightly wet, so it will move a little bit. I'm just going to come in and just define a few of these darker areas. Now, I'm going to use the water. I'm just going to bring up that blue to soften the edges. And because the mix that we've already had underneath, it'll all blend in quite nicely without too much effort. And again, on the other side, I'm going to do the same. And I'll just zoom in and move this over so that you can see. I'm just letting that bleed up. Dragging that up and just softening it in to the background. Okay, and I'll just bring the focus back. Alrighty, so now that's the second part of that background done, and we've brought in that blue, and we've still got some work to do on the background, which we're now going to come in with some hues that are a little bit more pinky, but we're also going to mix them with the brown. So I'm going to take the palette that had the brown. I'm just going to place a little bit of water onto my palette. I'm going to pop in the brown. And then I'm going to come in with the disc that has the pink in it, pinks and reds. I'm just going to take a little bit of this softer colour and mix that through. Now I've still got the blue on my palette. I'm going to use all these in the background. So move this aside, and we'll take this pinky brown, and we'll just bring that in into this area here. So I'm coming in strong, and then I'm going to use the water, and I'm going to disperse it and soften the edges. This same pinky colour, I'm going to intensify that colour, and then I'm going to bring it in where the apple is for my next stage. Just clean out that edge a little bit. And do the same on the side here. Now I want to come in with the hairdryer and just dry up these edges so I don't have any bleeds. So just quickly pause that, give a shot. Okay, so the edges have been dried. I'm going to come in with the same palette colour. It's a pinky red colour. I'm just going to tint this area of the apple. And this area of the apple here. Now this is still wet and I want to come in with a green now. Same palette, and I want to just come in with green and let that intermingle with the pinky red, and then on the other side of the store I'll do the same thing. Same palettes set. Let's bring in a little bit of yellow. And drop some water in for effect. And I want to bring in some more of that pink. Dry off my mop brush, and I'm going to come in with my rigger script brush. I'll wet it to create a point, but then I will dry it off. So I have a nice point to work with, and then I'm going to go into that nice rosy colour again, and I'm going to come in and outline the apple. If you need more water, add more water so that you can move the paint. So all I'm doing here is just outlining the apple. And then there's certain areas that I want to leave with no line, artistic expression I will call it. Intensify the colour up here. Now I take a little bit of yellow and start with the rigger on an angle. And there's an outline there, and I want that red and yellow to bleed into one another. But I do not want to bleed that out over the outline that I have here. Just bring in a little bit more of that pinky colour because I do want it to move into this yellow. Just softening those edges as I go. I'm really liking the way that's bleeding through. Yellow again, and I'm going to come up into this top area. And I do want these colours to bleed in. So I'll just move them around. With the rigger, there'll be less water on your brush, so you won't flood your paper. And again, just coming down with the yellow. Now I haven't outlined the right hand side. I'm going to come in with a little bit of orange. Red colour. And again, happy to have that bleed through and move, and then just use your rigger to direct that movement. Now, the central bit here, I want the water to move and dance. It is a yellowy greeny colour, so what I will do is I will take my palette and place some of the yellow that I've already been using with some of the green that we used in the actual apple. Now that's quite dark, so I'm actually going to leave that colour for the details up here in the apple, but I am going to use the darker shade also in this area here. So I'm just going to come down straight onto the paper and just pop in these darker greens. And this bit in here. What I want to do is just draw this out. And the flesh of the apple down here. Now, what I want to do is a bit of wet and wet. So what I'm going to do is this area here is a pip and this area here is a pip, so they'll be darker. So even if I cover these with the wet on wet, it's okay because the brown will cover the green. Okay, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with a little bit more yellow. And wet my paper. And that's okay if that bleeds. We're good with that. That's what we want. Now, as I'm coming in here with the yellow, I also want to take note there are some highlights. Now you can leave those white, or you can come in with a white gel pen, or you can come in with some bleed proof white. Just want to work my way around here. This central bit is where you want the watercolours to move around. So experiment, but keep the water in this section. And drop in some yellows. Just remember that this is the darker area that we want in our painting. Just coming in with some more yellow, just dropping that in. Around the pip, we'll have it a little bit more intense. And just jiggle your brush around. disc. There's many yellows here to choose from. This is an orange, but these are all different shades of yellow. So I'm just dipping in randomly and picking out some colours. And I'm just dropping in some water to allow that paint to move. But again, just keeping it in that zone. Now, the bottom of the apple is a green colour, so I'm going to pop that green in while this dries a little bit. And the apple tucks in. Just carefully want to paint that bit. This is drying still, so I'll work on this section here, and I want to bring in the blue that we were using for the background from that disc, and I want to use that as my shadow. And I carefully just want to pop that in here. So I'm not using true realistic colours as such. Just want to carefully drag that in that area. So I'm applying this to a dry paper with my rigger brush. And then I want to just slightly bleed it out and soften that edge. Okay, so now this area is fairly dry, a little bit moist, but enough to start working on the other areas. So I'm going to come in with the brown section of the painting. I'm going to start with using the rigger, wetting it to get the point, and then coming in. With this area, there is a white section which I will leave white and paint around this little dot, and then carefully move the brown around for the pip. This is my first pass with the brown. I'll do the same on the other side. Flesh running over that. Now I'll let that dry a little bit, and I'll use the same brown from the palette, and I'll bring that up, and this will slightly wet my brush. This area here I want to leave white. Slow. Use the water to guide your paint. Stay on the lines. You'll be quite successful in what you paint. Okay, so that's had a little bit of time to absorb into the paper. There is a darker brown next to the brown that I've been using, so I'm going to come in, just drop that in, give it a little bit of variation. water and just drag it and soften those edges. And again, the same on this side. I can just zoom in a little bit. That'll allow you to see it a little bit better. And then I'll come in with my darker areas here. And I just want to, it's quite dark on this side, so just work on this bit here. And there's a darker area in the apple skin, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of the green and mix in a little bit of the brown. Come in with that same brownie colour, just a brownie green. Just focus in that area a bit more. Again, that same brownie green colour. I want to just come in now and work on the skin. Now that brownie green again, I will outline here. A little darker brown. And then come with the dark brown again to intensify the area here. Now down the bottom, I'll be using the same brown and just drawing it out to the bottom of the apple. And then coming in with that sort of pinky red that we were using originally. Over the green background. And using the brown and the red, I'm just going to draw it around. And then come in with that brownie green colour again. Is bring in that blue, the original blue that we used in the background. And I want that to work together with the brown that we've placed in there. A little bit more brown. Let it disperse in with the blue. And then just clean up the edges slightly. Bring that out. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to bring in some more of the yellow. I'm going to take the yellow from the palette and just place in a little bit of that brown, muddy it up just a slight bit, and then I'm going to use that colour along the edges here. On its side and scoop the colour up. Just scooping up that flesh area. Doing the same on this side and bringing it down. So just the rigger on its side. Water, colour, rigger on its side. Let the rigger create some patterns. I'm bringing in some water so it'll be more like a wet on wet. And I'm just dropping that yellow in with the rigger on that side. And the yellow just dispersing that where it's almost like a vein. That on this side as well. So it's the yellow mixed with a brown. Just to dirty it up a little bit. And using that rigger on its side. Bringing in some water and moving that paint around. And the rigger's creating areas that it's touching the paper, areas where it's not. And then I want to come in just a little bit stronger and drop in some of the yellow-brown colour. But I want stronger areas, so I'm just going to just drop them in so they're just a little bit deeper. Just work your way around. We want a little bit more intensity, so it's a second pass, but the paper itself is still a little bit wet. Then I want to come in with that greeny brown colour and just work in here for shadows and highlights. So it's just the green that we used on the skin. Just letting that move around, and then a little bit more yellow. And then just dispersing that through. So what I want to do now is I want to take the mop brush and just take a little bit of the yellow and brown colour, and then I just want to gently wash over this middle section. That's quite wet, this section that I've just introduced, and then I want to get some paper towel. remove some of this area here. And then add the areas that I feel I would like to have a little bit more colour. And then I'm just going to come in with that green here, intensify and wet it. And again, just come in with the green in the central area here. I suggest, if you are going to paint along with me with this one, watch your video first. Just coming in with some green. Watch the video first. Get an idea of what's expected and what you need to do, and then come in and start painting it. So there will be an outline available. I'm just coming in with the pinky red again. Set doesn't have names for the paints, so I'm using what I call a pinky red. Then I'm just dropping in colour. Some of that yellow brown. Dropping in that yellow brown on the bottom here. Okay, so I'm just going to do the final touches on this. I don't want to overwork it. I'm just going to come in with a little bit of the brown from the palette. Bottom area, working in on that shading. And I'm using the point of the rigger. Fairly dry because there's still water on my paper. Fairly dry with what I'm doing now. There's not much water on my brush at all. So these are just the final touches. I'll just come in with a little bit of yellow up the top here, down here. Interesting pattern. And this is just the straight green. And then a little bit of yellow into some of these areas. Yellow and green together. And then I'm just going to drop some water in and let that watercolour run and create some nice pattern. touch. I'm going to come in with a blue from the palette set. It's a very vibrant blue. I'm just going to use that to darken up this area here, ever so slightly. I'll use that same technique. I'll build up the blue and then I'll disperse the blue upwards. Give it a little bit of balance. I'm going to pop some of that blue in there. This is a very strong blue. And it's quite intense. But that'll work nicely with the shading. And then I'll come in with that same blue. So I'm not using any black. Ever so carefully because it's still wet, and then I'm just going to dot out the apple skin. Now because it's still wet, cautiously come in with this blue here and do so again with the pips. Just working on those details. I'm going to dry this off now, erase the lines, and then come in with the finest of finest details. Okay, so what I want to do now is just put in some final details on the apple. Ideally, I'm looking at popping in the dots on the apple skin, so I'll just come in and do those. I'm using a deep blue for this. And then I just want to work in some depth on some of these areas here. Again, I'm just using the blue. And then I'm going to use some bleed-proof white. Just going to come in and pop it in. I find that the bleed-proof white works best when your paper has darker colours on it. That's when it really makes things pop. Again, you can use a gel pen. Or anything else that you prefer for highlights. quick painting using a few wet and wet techniques, using a rigger brush, using your mop brush, paper towel for texture, hot pressed paper. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate everyone who does come on board and watch. Remember, there is a group that I have started called Let It Run Watercolor Art on Facebook. Please come and join the group. This is where you'll find outlines, links to tutorials, live feeds, and it's a great bunch of people who are coming together in an art community to learn from each other. Thank you for watching.